Hi, boys and girls. It's Mr. Polson again, along with baby Susan here. When we left off, it was kind of a scary moment because there were two green lights coming toward the Ingalls camp, and Pa had got his gun out to go investigate, and Laura screamed and Pa shouted, and that's where we left off. Remember, the Ingalls thought it might be a wolf. They thought it might be a lynx, which is a large cat. They thought that it might be a coyote. So when we left off, it was kind of scary. Baby Susan got a little scared too when she heard Laura scream, so I had to calm her down a little bit. So we're going to continue here with Chapter 3. We left off right here at the end of this paragraph where it says Laura screamed, and we're on page 34. The next thing she knew, she was trying to hug a jumping, panting, wriggling Jack, who lapped her face and hands with his warm, wet tongue. She couldn't hold him. He leaped and wriggled from her to Pa to Ma and back to her again. "Well, I'm beat," Pa said. "So am I," said Ma. "But did you have to wake the baby?" She rocked Carrie in her arms, hushing her. So, boys and girls, it wasn't a lynx or a wolf or a coyote. It was their good old brindle bulldog, Jack. He's back. Jack is back. Jack was perfectly well, but soon he lay down close to Laura and sighed a long sigh. His eyes were red with tiredness, and all the under part of him was caked with mud. Ma gave him a cornmeal cake, and he licked it and wagged politely, but he could not eat. He was just too tired. No telling how long he kept swimming, Pa said, nor how far he was carried downstream before he landed. And when at last he reached them, Laura called him a wolf, and Pa threatened to shoot him. But Jack knew they didn't mean it. Laura asked him, "You knew we didn't mean it, didn't you, Jack?" Jack wagged his stump of a tail. He knew. It was past bedtime. Pa chained Pet and Patty to the feed box at the back of the wagon and fed them their corn. Carrie slept again, and Ma helped Mary and Laura undress. She put their long nightgowns over their heads while they stuck their arms into their sleeves. They buttoned the neckbands themselves and tied the strings of their nightcaps beneath their chins. Under the wagon, Jack wearily turned around 3 times and lay down to sleep. In the wagon, Laura and Mary said their prayers and crawled into their little bed. Ma kissed them good night. On the other side of the canvas, Pet and Patty were eating their corn. When Patty whooshed into the feed box, the whoosh was right at Laura's ear. There were little scurrying sounds in the grass. In the trees by the creek, an owl hoo, hoo. Farther away, another owl answered, hoo, hoo. Far away on the prairie, the wolves howled, and under the wagon Jack growled low in his chest. In the wagon, everything was safe and snug. Thickly in front of the open wagon top hung the large glittering stars. Pa could reach them, Laura thought. She wished he would pick the largest one from the thread on which it hung from the sky and give it to her. She was wide awake. She was not sleepy at all. But suddenly she was very much surprised. The large star winked at her. Then she was waking up next morning. And that's the end of that chapter, boys and girls. Camp on the High Prairie. Tomorrow we'll read Chapter 4, Prairie Day. But before we stop for today, boys and girls, there's something I'd like to show you. Some things that were mentioned in this last chapter that I'm going to show you here. I'm going to put baby Susan over here so I can let her sleep. There you go, baby Susan. Now, over here, this is the book that I've been sharing with you throughout Little House in the Big Woods and Little House on the Prairie. I haven't shown you this book, but here's a picture of the cover of Little House on the Prairie. And in this book, boys and girls, remember I've shown you a few pictures from here before, the butter churn and things. Here's a picture that got some good details of things that I've been trying to describe to you. Now here is the wagon, and remember Ma and Pa sat on the wagon seat. So Pa took this out of the wagon and put it down on the ground so he and Ma could sit on it while they ate. And the wagon tongue is right here, boys and girls. This is the part that comes out from the wagon and attaches to the horses. That's where Laura and Mary were sitting when they ate their corn cakes and fried pork. And down here, these are some of the things that it mentioned. This right here, boys and girls, let me zoom in a little bit, is the iron spider. As you can see, it's a frying pan, but if you look very carefully, it's got these little legs coming off of it. So that kind of holds it out of the fire so it doesn't get too hot. And over here, this is the bake oven, what we call today a Dutch oven. And so Ma, this also has little legs on it. Ma set this in the coals, lets you put coals on top of it, so it's basically like an oven you'd have in your house, because it cooks from the top and the bottom. This is the coffee mill that Mary was using to grind the coffee. You pour the coffee beans into this little funnel type thing here. Mary turns this crank, and it turns the coffee beans into coffee grounds like your mom and dad might have at home. And then those coffee grounds go into this drawer here, and Mary pulls that out and gives it to Laura, and Laura would put that inside basically a little container inside this coffee pot here that the coffee went into. And here are the tin cups. Remember, Laura and Mary had to share their tin cup. And let's see here, what else did we talk about? We talked about the cornmeal. Remember, Mom made corn cakes with cornmeal. Basically, cornmeal is just ground up corn. And here's a water scoop, or what we call today I can't remember what they're called. But this is what we use to scoop water. It's slipping my mind. My 96-year-old mind can't remember right now. It'll come to me. But yeah, this is what they used to scoop water out of the water that Pa gets from the creek. And when they made coffee, Laura scooped it into the coffee pot. So, boys and girls, that's the end of that chapter. I will read the next one tomorrow. I hope you all have a good day. Again, I miss you all, and I wish I could see your smiling faces here, and I wish I could read to you in person, but we're doing the best we can with what we've got. Just like they say in Bambi, the very, very best we can with what we got. Okay, have a good day, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.